Hi, I'm Emily.
And I'm Clark.
2 months ago, we left our sailboat in the Dominican Republic to go on a truck camper trip throughout the U.S. We've gone 3,500 miles,
Yep.
about 90 hours of driving so far, and we're not even half done. This is what the last 30 days has looked like for us.
Hi, I'm Emily.
And I'm Clark.
We opted out of a typical American life to live more independently, frugally, and off the grid.
We typically travel the world in our antique sailboat named Temptress, but we put that on pause for a bit to explore the U.S. in our truck camper.
Each month, we sit down to tell you where we are, what we're doing, share the best and worst moments, answer questions, and tell you exactly how much it costs us to live this life.
This is our adventure log for September 2022. We left Temptress in the Dominican Republic. It's hurricane season there now. Since you can't really travel around safely during hurricane season, we decided to do this truck camper thing just for a little while. We'll go back to the boat real soon. Temptress is in the hurricane zone, and she had Hurricane Fiona go right over her, or very close to her. And she had an interesting few days. But we've got good friends watching her. They say everything is fine, and we left her in one of the best hurricane holes around. So we were quite confident she'd do well, and she did.
And then Hurricane Ian went through Florida, where our house is, but luckily our house was in pretty good shape. We live pretty high up and in a pretty dry place.
In a relative Florida high up way of saying things.
Yep, so our house is pretty good, so that's always good. Because it always seems like when you leave your house or your boat, that's the time when nothing will happen if you stay there.
You want to be there to take care of it during the storm. There's so many things that a living person can do on the boat to make it fare better. But we survived fine, so she'll be available to us. When we get back down there and get settled again, we're going to make our way down to Central and South America this cruise.
But here in our land cruising adventure, so far we've been from New York up to Ontario, down through the Midwest over to Wisconsin, then through Iowa, then South Dakota, and here we are in Wyoming at Grand Teton National Park.
Look at the view!
It's awesome! Let's see, the temperature has been an adjustment for us. We've actually had to buy some more cold weather clothes because we weren't used to it. The thing about being up here is that in the middle of the day, it's quite hot. It'll get up to 70, high 70s today, but then at night, I mean, there was frost on the ground this morning, so getting used to that fluctuation has been interesting.
Yeah, it's tough. I've completely acclimatized to the tropics, and Emily, well, basically is completely acclimatized to the tropics. I had to wear socks.
Yeah. What are socks? What are socks?
Socks?
We spent a lot of money on socks so far.
Yeah,
Hold on. Oh, no, it's just a bird.
No, we've had a lot of wildlife around here. We were kind of stalking deer with the camera yesterday. We didn't get super close, but man, if we had a rifle, it would have been an easy shot.
Yep. And we saw pronghorn yesterday. We've seen buffalo. We've seen lots of prairie dogs.
Yeah, longhorn sheep right up where we could pet them if we wanted to.
No bears yet, luckily, but we are carrying the bear spray.
Yeah, bears are everywhere around here. We've seen bear droppings and lots of reports. Some hunters here got an elk and a moose, so it's all around here.
Well, that's our current location.
Uh-huh.
What about projects? Boats always require projects. It turns out truck campers need occasional projects too, though it's not quite as a dire situation if something's not working.
Well, and we didn't have to have it perfect, but that's one of the reasons we've gotten such a late start. I spent a lot of time working on this thing to make it energy independent and generally independent.
Lots of solar work. The air conditioner's half installed, so that'll be coming soon.
Yep.
We needed a new black water hose because there was a leak in ours. What else did you do?
We've added carbon filtration just recently because the tanks had a bad taste, so now the water tastes great.
Yeah, we did a little bit of work on the mattress. There's a lot of condensation. That's something I guess in common with boat life is the dampness. And so we've raised up the bed with something called dry deck, and we've kind of added a barrier around the mattress so that it doesn't touch the walls and get wet, because there is a lot of wetness when the temperature outside is different from inside.
It's just a different life. It's insulated, but it also is aluminum structure, so the structure conducts a lot of cold back in. We have a furnace, and that makes it quite livable even in these below freezing conditions.
So where to after Wyoming?
Well, this very day, we're going to go down to a hot springs in Wyoming. And then, well, I defer to you because you're the navigator. I just drive and try to keep us from dying, falling over a cliff somewhere.
Then I think we're going to the moon.
Okay.
We're going to Craters of the Moon in Idaho. And then we're going to go south into Utah. We've got some business stuff to do, so we're going to go to a major city and do some business stuff. But then we have some friends who are from Utah who are heading south to all the there are so many great parks in Utah, and we don't even know which ones we're going to hit first, but we're going to try to meet up our friends. They're big travelers too, the Wayward Travelers. We'll put a link to their channel in case you want to check out what they've been doing, all different modes of transportation. So we'll go see them, and then we'll continue down to Arizona, eventually to Texas, and eventually to Florida. We don't really know exactly where we're stopping in between. So if you have recommendations, put them in the comments below. We'll try to stop and check out all the cool things to do. And if you want to meet up with us, check out our Patreon page. Our messages with patrons is the biggest way that we're planning meetups and things like that. So if you want to say hi in person.
As of filming this, what I can say is by the time we publish this is old. We're not here anymore, of course. On Patreon, we tell where we actually are. So we've had patrons along the way say, hey, stop on in. Let's meet at a restaurant or something. We don't know as many people out in the West. Strangely, our viewers tend to be boat people.
Fewer people out here, too.
The fewer people and not a lot of people with the dream of sailing around the world compared to the people on the coast.
Yeah. So far on this trip, we've experienced a lot of different things. We've paid to park in state parks. We have, just boondocked in the middle of nowhere. We've stayed at rest stops. We've done a lot of different things. We were at Yellowstone earlier this week, and we've had some discussions about, there's so many different things to do. It's kind of paralyzing sometimes about where to go or what to do next. We're only really planning about a week in advance. But we've made some big picture decisions about what we want to do.
Well, we don't really like campgrounds. It's kind of like being in the suburbs with everybody lined up, and they make it easy, and they tell you exactly what to do and how to do things. But that's not our style. We live on a sailboat and figure out where to anchor on our own.
And even when we're on the sailboat, like if we go to Georgetown in the Bahamas, we're not anchoring out front of Chat and Chill or by other people. We're anchoring way out.
Yeah.
And I've noticed more people are starting to anchor where we anchor.
So we have to find new places.
We like our pieces. We like to opt into all the crowds and the busyness and the social life, but really have default be like this, where we're kind of by ourselves and we can reflect. And
well,
enjoy
a
the quiet.
campground is like being in a marina, and we're just not marina people. And luckily, the rig that my parents loaned us, the truck is a four-wheel drive truck, and quite a capable one, it turns out. So we've taken it in places I honestly probably wouldn't have tried before, especially with this big load of a camper on it. But we've really gone off-road where without locking the differential, we wouldn't have been able to get in and out. And it's been really wonderful.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this particular camper, it's all aluminum, not a speck of wood in the thing. It only weighs 1,600 pounds, and at least once a week, someone else who has a Ford F-150 says, "How are you doing that? How are you carrying a truck camper on that truck?" It's really a cool rig. It's really cool.
Yeah, we've been talking to a lot of truck camper people, and most of the campers, though they're a bigger camper and they have a little more in them, are fully twice the weight of this thing.
And diesel trucks getting less gas
with
mileage.
dually wheels and
So a lot of people are I'm telling them to take a picture of the sticker so they can check out this type of rig again.
Yeah, they don't make it anymore. And my mother searched for it for many, many, many years, and she finally found one, actually, very close to her house. Bought it immediately because she knows how rare they are. Anyway, if you want to go camping, I do recommend it. It's been a really good camper. It's built well, and it has no wood in it, so it can't rot. So it should last a long time.
And they seem to retain their value, too.
Yeah.
If you buy one. Let's see. Best and worst, I guess. What was the worst part of this month?
The cold. It's not that cold, and I'm just being whiny about it, but occasional dusting of snow, especially in the mountain passes and stuff. I grew up in snow. I don't like snow. So I'm not used to the cold, and I'd like to stay warm and get south, I think.
I agree. I don't like having cold feet. Cold feet is, especially cold, wet feet, I just don't like it.
Yeah, last week it rained a lot.
Yeah, and cold nose. That's no fun either. But, that's a pretty small complaint because we're getting to see stuff like this all the time, which is pretty amazing. The other worst part, I think, was through Bighorn. We went over a mountain, went way up and way down, and there was a lot of braking and a lot of stress on the brakes.
10% grade for thousands of feet of down, 3,000 feet, I guess the drop was.
Yeah.
And I know what I'm doing, had the truck in low gear, engine braking for all it's worth.
Definitely
and
still
had to stop and cool the brakes. It was really hard on the gear. As far as parks, this is probably like sacrilegious, but I don't like Yellowstone. I love watching the geothermal there and getting that experience, and you can get right up in it. I've had other geothermal experiences that topped it. Like in Hawaii, I went out and played with liquid lava with a stick. They don't let you get that close, but the geothermal was really cool. But everything else, it felt like it was presented to me like I was a viewer at Disneyland.
Yeah, everything's
There's
very curated.
roads, and when you see a traffic jam, you stop and look, and there's a bison, and it's just not the same as like us seeing things out here.
Yeah, it felt like almost like being in a zoo. It was less like being on a safari. Badlands was more like a safari. It was just like, oh, what's up? There's something over there. Nobody else is seeing it except us. And Yellowstone was just like everything was very spoon-fed. And everything was, I don't know, like there was a bald eagle like quite a ways away. I could get it on the camera, but you know, you get it set up and there's somebody with a lens this long who's like creeping up to it. You're like, come on, don't approach the wildlife, leave it alone. Like, I don't know, people are just annoying.
And the views are nice, but the views aren't as nice as here. There's other views. The Badlands I thought were superior.
Yeah.
The animal experiences in the Badlands were more organic feeling and just real superior.
Yeah. But we were going to do 2 days in Yellowstone, and we did one, and then we came down here, and this is great. I don't know if we'll make it back there. I'm glad we did it, but definitely not the highlight of the trip.
Yep.
Which is surprising.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to the southern parks. I want to see the rock formations that look like the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote should be there.
Yep, but we'll get there. So, best part.
Yeah.
I think every campsite we stay at, we're like, this is the best campsite so far.
Yeah.
And then we get to, I'm really glad that we're doing the route this way. Is that right? Yeah, this way for you. Because things are getting better and better and more impressive and more wide open and more dispersed. And if you go back that way, they would get more crowded. So it's a good way to experience all the different landscapes. We've seen geysers now, we've seen waterfalls, we've seen the Badlands, we've seen desert places, we've seen lush forest places, we've seen all these different landscapes, and it really makes you, when you think of them, if you've lived in the United States all your life and you've lived in the same place, you kind of have this model of what it's like to live in the United States, and it's based on where you live. And just traveling through and just seeing all the different places that people live and the kind of conditions people endure and the type of commerce and things that happen.
It's a lot like cruising.
Yeah, you really get to understand the diversity that is America, and I think that is really a cool thing to do. And I'm so glad that we're doing this now. As we're trekking the national parks, we're seeing a lot of people, you know, with canes or with, you know, walking sticks, people who have all white hair long ago, and people who are retired and haven't been able to do this until they're 60 or 70. And some of the hiking and stuff is intense.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we're doing it at this age, and I hope that if anybody else is out there watching and is considering doing this, that you'll consider doing it sooner rather than later.
If you do it and you like the way we do it, I'm sure you'll put it on Patreon. That's the easiest way that we can give out digital information. You should get her list of all the campsites that we've used. Some of them are just really good finds. Some of them legitimately aren't anywhere. She's gone through Forest Service maps and figured out. So we've been putting them on Free Roam and other deals. If you see things that say Emily and Clark's Adventure, that's ones that we've discovered.
We've paid for camping twice.
Yeah,
Back
and they
in
were
Wisconsin.
mistakes. We shouldn't have.
Yeah, and well, I mean, the second one was nice, but we could have found it.
It was a nice view, but my God, compared to this.
Yeah. So I mean, basically, our campground cost is $0, which is pretty awesome. What has been our biggest adjustment over the past month?
The driving. I haven't driven in 3 years anything with wheels anyway. And I've got this very top heavy, and honestly, it's an undersized truck for the load. We've added some helper springs and things, but I can feel that the load is up there, and now I'm going down mountain roads with 1,000-foot drops on the side. It's a challenge. As long as you keep on the game, it's fine, but keeping on the game is tiring.
All the time. It's not like sailing where you set the autopilot and check on it.
Go make a snack.
think my big adjustment has been going to the grocery store and not buying 12 of everything. Just buying 1 or 2 because we can get stuff.
Yeah, it's the United States. There's grocery stores everywhere.
Yeah, but there's much more of a routine. There's much more, because we're moving so often. I have to keep the kitchen very clean, every day. Get it, back to a blank slate. And
we take literally 2,000 pounds of food with us when we leave a good provisioning spot on Temptress. And we couldn't do that on this.
No.
So it's just, well, how much do we need for the next 4 days?
Yeah, after we finish that can of soup, we'll buy another can of soup. It's weird.
Yeah. The budget's changing a lot.
Yeah, we call it the budget. It's just kind of our benchmark. Our benchmark is about $1,000 a month, maybe a little bit, $1,100, $1,200 a month is pretty much what we live on all the time. I'm sure it's going to be more.
I'm sure it's going to be more, but I don't think it's as high as you think it is. We've been talking about this.
What's your guess? What do you think it's going to be?
I think, oh, wait a minute. All the stuff we bought for the campers.
No,
in
we
this
already
one.
counted that. This
Okay.
is just this month of expenses.
Okay, there's some clothes involved, so maybe 1,400?
I'm going to guess 1,800 because your shoes alone were like $80. And we had a lot of gas. I'm going to guess 1,850. What's your guess?
I'll say 1,400.
Okay, Price is Right style. We're going to see who's closer to our budget this month. The expenses certainly are up this month. I'll just give you the rundown real quick. Groceries, $374. Restaurants, $161. And wine, beer, and alcohol, $115. Household expenses, $157, including a grill that we bought that has been really useful over the past several weeks. Utility costs include $35 for propane and firewood. I'll just lump them together. Phone bills, $40 a month. Laundry, $10 at the laundromat. Storage for our boat back in the DR is $50 a month. And the amount that we paid for campsites this month was $65, which I don't think we're going to do anymore because there's a lot of free sites out here in the West. Our projects this month, $73 for bits and bobs at the hardware store. Healthcare, $161 plus some personal stuff, so the total for health is $177. And then the big item, which is gas for that truck, $537 for gas this month. That's a little bit more than the 40 or 50 bucks we usually spend on our dinghy. Entertainment budget, $33 for streaming services, which we might end up canceling because we're not really using them that much. And then we paid $228 for various admissions, tickets, park entrances, including the reciprocal park pass for all the national parks, which is $80 and gets you into all the parks for a year. So that'll offset some of those costs in the future. Clothing budget, $144 because we were really cold and we didn't have much cold weather clothing. And that brings our total to $2,199 for this month.
Okay, we have no idea what the answer is because we haven't looked through the receipts as of the filming of this. So I don't know. One of us is right.
I was right. I bet I was right.
Well, you do watch it closer
do the
than I
counting,
do.
but I know we hit 1,000 we hit 1,000 like 3 states ago, so it's going to be
All right. Okay. Well, she had the inside information.
Okay, listen.
Thanks to everybody that watches this, those of you that stuck with us because of us changing from the boat to the land. I know we have a lot of people that kind of dropped off. Viewers are down. I'm hoping there's some camper people that have come on. If you're a new camper person and you like our style, please check out the boating videos.
There's
It's
some
not that
technology
foreign.
that crosses.
Yeah, and we have a lot of how-to stuff. If you watch our videos on how to set up an electrical system on a boat, those electrons don't know they're floating. It's the same as a camper.
Thank you all for watching. Thank you to our patrons. We'll scroll your names over here. We've enjoyed interacting with you and messaging you and meeting up with you in some cases, and we hope we can continue to do that over the next few months as we continue our travels. Here's another question. How many miles do you think we're going to cover in this trip? We have 3,500 so far.
Oh, well, just slightly more than double that.
Okay. I think we might hit 10,000 miles.
Okay. Well,
but I do the navigating, so that could be a self-fulfilling.
Yeah, let's go back here. Let's go over here. Yeah, you could fix that.
Yeah. All right, we'll talk to you next month. Keep on watching. Please subscribe and keep on leaving comments.
Bye from the Grand Tetons.
When we met, we knew that we did things differently, but with no regrets, both living life authentically. So we packed up this antique boat to make a life upon the sea. For the worse and for the better, this adventure.